Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market. This is our daily show from Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. GMT, every day of the week, where we discuss all things to do with this modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to make money by leveraging the internet and its latest technologies. I'm your host, Bchek. I'm joined by my legendary co-host, Legendary, also by another legendary co-host, The Modern Market. That Modern Market account is the official Twitter account, and we're going to start doing more stuff with it. So please do follow it along. We're also live on YouTube. Great to be sharing our Tuesday morning with you. But before we get into the show today, just a reminder that nothing that we say here is financial advice. This market is very risky. We don't know anything for sure. And so please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Legendary, how are you doing this Tuesday, the 28th of November?
GM, I seem to be on a lucky streak recently. Yesterday, I told you about my degenerate gambling on the Shuffle Casino. This morning, I woke up realizing that I won a Ute as part of the Ute Last Dance raffle. It's a good trajectory of luck that I'm currently on and makes me very, very happy.
That is quite fortunate for you. Every time you say things like, you just reminded me of the shuffle thing. Every time I speak to someone now, there's like another opportunity that I should be doing that I've forgotten to write down. So potentially I need to go and do this shuffle thing now. But well done.
Also, it's good content, man. It's good content, the shuffle thing. I'm up to 300K volume on a wallet, and that makes for very nice screenshot that you can post on X and be like, yo, I have a problem. And then you post the amount wagered and you still pretend you're not gambling. You're farming an airdrop, right?
Yeah, potentially. I have noticed one of the things which is true. You talk about kind of the engagement that you get from posting things of value. And when I say of value, I don't mean, something super interesting or something very thoughtful. I mean, talking about either purchases or volume that you create somewhere. The squiggle tweet that I wrote, I don't know, over the weekend after I bought my squiggle, I just kind of said like, this is what I think of when I think of generative art. I think of a squiggle. I'm very glad to have got my first one. And that is by far, I think, the most liked and retweeted tweet I've ever written. So I think there is something to that in terms of engagement. Like, people love it when you splash the cash around, I think. But I believe you were kind of not really splashing the cash in the casino, are you? You're just creating extra volume.
Yeah, I'm not splashing cash. I'm creating extra volume. But NFTs, that's made a good point. I think it was last week when he tweeted that or posted that, to stay with the correct terminology. He said that often, when people post a win that their bags are up 10x or whatever, it also goes with, but you missed it, but you idiot kind of faded it. It's not enough to be flexing your own profits. You also have to make someone else feel miserable about it. It is definitely something that I've observed as well. Didn't make a post about it, didn't dare to speak out about it, but Sam is absolutely correct about that one.
Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder what I don't think one of those things will be that's just not going to go away, is it? And it's interesting to talk about that now, given that, I mean, we've only just moved out of what has been, I think, a very prolonged, if not a bear market, well, certainly a bear market, and then also a little bit just a sideways market. Like, things were just 98% down and staying there, plus or minus a few percent for a long period of time, just moving out of that, and people getting very excited just on that. So I suspect that will be one of the things that only gets worse as we actually move higher, if we do indeed move higher as well. Anything that you do, Legendary, to insulate yourself from that type of stuff, keep yourself with a clear mind when you see the timeline, and try to separate that from any type of decisions you make?
It's a difficult one, but I think what is really helpful to me is to have 2-3 groups of friends that I talk with and kind of share my hypothesis on my investment. investments there, but also when I see something on a timeline that irritates me, that I'm not sure what to do with it, or that, I don't know, has an effect of me of whatever sort, I do tend to share that in the group and discuss it with friends. And I find that is more helpful than just taking it in yourself and, be pondering and thinking over it for hours and hours at a time.
Absolutely. Make some friends is the key takeaway is what I'm hearing. I think that is going to be super useful and also an indicator. Like one of the things, we speak about the metrics on our show, we speak about the metrics on engagement of tweets, but also the number of group chats that have started to pop up. I feel like that is actually an indicator as well of people wanting to go risk on now. I mean, at least I don't know how many ones have sprung up, but 4 come to mind, both on Twitter and on Discord.
I
And then
think I am in some of those as well.
yeah,
But you don't like Twitter group
I
messages. You
hate them.
don't like them at all.
I just hate group chats in general. I mean, I think I would have the smallest group chats possible, to the point where it just becomes you and another person. That's not really a group then, is it? That's just a normal chat. Just 2 people having a chat. That would be my preference, if at all possible. But yes, let's get into the show and get into the headlines today. Some really interesting stuff going on, some good stuff, some questionable stuff, some bad stuff. Going to get into all the good, the bad, and the ugly in just a moment. But as always, you'll find what I'm about to share in the snapshot, which is pinned up top. Please do like it if you find that it brings you some value today. So let's get into it, starting with the price action. We have crypto down 1%, Bitcoin at 37.1, ETH at 2K, Solana at 55.6, Ape at 1.6. All of those kind of just holding steady now at the moment, kind of deciding which direction they want to go. NFT volume was again pretty high, total at $25 million, Blur at 19.7, OpenSea at 4.2. That sounds pretty healthy, I think. The headlines are these. Number one, top Solana NFTs are up sharply as the JTO airdrop is confirmed. Not necessarily saying those two things are directly linked, although some people are kind of linking them. But just interesting to see. Going to get into that in a moment. Number two, Magic Eden announces a cross-chain wallet which will be released after the Yuga marketplace. I think that is super interesting. I want to talk about some of those details. And three, DGods announces they are building a new land of opportunity. They kill Points Parlor. The project is down 3%. I know Legendary's got a whole summary of the vast array of news that they announced, because it wasn't just one or two things. Going to get into that in just a moment. Looking at the floor prices, we have CryptoPunks up a couple of percent at 57.4, Bored Apes at 29.5, Mutants at 5.7, DGods down a couple of percent at 3.5, Captains at 4.2, Azuki's up a little bit at 6.3, Penguins still at 6.2, Moonbirds at 2, and Nouns at 21. Some really nice art sales in the last 24 hours. We have Vera Molnar themes and variations. One of those selling for 22 ETH. That's $44,000. That was collected by Seed Phrase. That was a fun one. And also Jack Butcher single check going to board one of the other very prominent OPEPN collectors for 15 ETH. That's $30,000. The single check in the Jack Butcher checks ecosystem is the one check which it takes loads and loads of other checks to create. So one of the most prominent checks selling there. That's the price action Legendary. Those are the headlines. Any numbers that take your interest before we get into the first headline? Probably DGods.
Quite honestly, the Solana NFT numbers do take my interest, especially Mad Lads up to 128 Sol. You bought a Mad Lad. You bought it under 100 Sol. When did you get in? 80, 70?
I think it was around 80, maybe 84 or maybe 74. I can't remember. Something like that. About 84 maybe.
Nice. So you're definitely happy with the price action as well.
Yeah. I told you my investment thesis for Mad Lads a little bit. I don't know if I can repeat that one, but in general, it's, I don't know. I just think Solana, it's clearly the by far and away the top tier, the top NFT collection on Solana right now. And the fact that they're building the exchange, They're doing all kinds of other cool stuff there. Like if you're bullish on Solana, which I am also, although I don't probably hold enough as I would like. If you're bullish on Solana, you probably got to be bullish the top NFT collection, because you would think that if people make money there, then they may move to the top NFT collection. That's my very, very simplistic thinking. I don't think it's much more than that. But I don't know, Legendary, do you want to, should we get into that a little bit more later? Because we've got the Solana airdrop stuff as well. Do you want to do DeGods first, given that it's the title of the show?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it in that order. Let's get into the DeGods news first.
Good.
Happy to also introduce the DeGods news. Frank announced a shit ton of things yesterday. Quite ironic. It was called Clarity, but with all the announcements, actually, it is not easy to see what's going on. I did try, but jokes aside, he also said he's going to post a roadmap that explains it and puts it a bit into more structure. But I did try to at least catch the 10 most important points from his series of posts and announcements.
Mm-hmm.
And they are just going to go through all of them. The BTC DeGods, Jack probably going to be happy about that one, used to be treated as a community project, now moves into the core team, into Frank's responsibility. So definitely appears like they want to build it out officially. Points Parlor is ending. So it never really started for Utes, but it's ending for DeGods. Utes got a raffle with 100 Utes as part of the last dance to be raffled out one every 10 minutes with higher chances based on the points that the Utes has staked. This is also where I won my Ute this morning. D-Lab's partnering, and I see more and more hands going up with every news item that we go through, partnering with Kraken for Art Basel in Miami to host a series of events there. Also announced the Contribute program around art, around content creators, etc., with applications open for both a Utes and a DeGods president to be appointed by Frank, and if that works out, later on elected in a democratic fashion. The Detox app is coming. It's coming this or next week. On top, it is an app that works on top of X to curate content by both Utes and DeGods. The idea kind of is you have a curated feed on the Detox app. If you see some of your favorite content creator there and you like it, comment it, repost it, the same actions also apply for X. So if you like it on Detox, it's always going to be liked on X. Group chats, one for you, Bchek, are coming with D groups. They are chats that you can monetize by basically having subscriptions for those group chats that are obviously going to be priced in dust. D-Lab's own version of a crowdfunding platform is coming with D-Starter. At first, it's an experiment that will focus on merchandise only. Frank did tease or say that he could see it as a thing to also found projects, startups, etc. later on. Big focus on in real life events. They picked out, also I realized I forgot one city, LA, Miami, London, Singapore. I did forget New York in my post, as cities to focus on with community ambassadors to host events there, to do cool shit there, etc. Build with Dust, an application form for developers who want to build using the D-Labs ecosystem, and an art upgrade for both Utes and DeGods is coming, where the DeGods art upgrade is being labeled as season 3.3 or 3.33. That's not all of the news. That's the majority of it. That's the 10 points that I did pick out from the announcements.
Okay. Two quick questions for me. I'm going to withhold my thoughts for the moment. I will also want to go around the table here. The unbiased takes from the Utes and DeGods holders on the stage, and the unfiltered takes from Riggs. I know we're going to get something good to hear in just a moment. I'm going to hold mine for a second. Legendary, two quick questions for me. Number one, did you pick 10 pieces of news because you just wanted to make 10 pieces of news? And number two, what are your instinctive thoughts?
I'm going to be quite honest. At first I wanted to do 5. Then I was like, nah, if I do 5, I don't even cover like a third of the things. I wanted to be lazy and do 5. And I was like, yeah, let's double it up to 10. There was not more thinking that went into the selection of the number than that.
Okay. And what was your instinctive feeling? You mentioned kind of at the beginning, It's called Clarify. Doesn't feel very clarified. Does that matter necessarily? Like, do you think that there's good stuff in there? Like, aside from the fact, I'm kind of, I guess what I'm asking is, aside from the fact that it might not be that clear, which might be one of the main points, is there anything in there that stands out to you that's like, that's really cool? Maybe they should double, triple down on that and then get rid of some of this unclarified stuff.
So my first thought was it is quite a lot that they announced. I
Yeah.
do understand that Frank didn't go for roadmap first, but like basically brain dumping all of the things that are going on to like create this impression of so many things that are happening at the same time. I do think that the clarity where I need clarity is the order in which things are going to happen. Like with the detox app, that's something that's coming like pretty soon. With that presidential election, no idea where that stands in basically the timeline. So just getting a timeline on this will be super helpful. In terms of the actual things, it feels like a lot is going on. I think that if we go back to the youths list, and so many content creators who had a youth or still have a youth putting out great stuff, etc., the idea of a curated feed is cool. So I like that detox app idea, but I also think that I need to see what else it can do besides just curating DGOTS and youths content, because it's something that you could also do, like creating lists on X itself. But I do like at least the focus on having the detox app, having the group chats, like basically trying to interconnect the youths and DGOTS community more than before. That is one, honestly, of the aspects that stands out to me most. Not so excited about the partnership with Kraken for Art Basel in Miami. Not really excited about the D-Starter things. I just see this more and more trials of things like Points Pal that they do. The core thing to me is that, or those initiatives that focus on community connection, audience connection.
Okay. Interesting. I like all of those thoughts. I think those are fair. I don't know who was first necessarily, so I'm just going to go round almost randomly. The way I want to structure this, though, because this always happens with DGOTS and Azuki, is that people just want to say loads and loads of stuff and tell people how the project should be run and this and that. Like, I just don't want to hear the same thing over and over again. So the way I want to structure this is I want to hear like something that you think, kind of like that I just asked Legendary, like, what do you think was really good in this? Like, what went well? And then if you want to say something that they should have improved on, then say the specific thing and how they could have improved either that aspect or another aspect. So I'm looking for the thing that you think is good, as well as the thing that you think could be improved, rather than like, this is DGODS, not clear, blah, 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 blah. Frank should do this, 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 and 100 things and run the company better. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. So let's go to Riggs first. I can't remember if your hand was first, but we're just going to go kind of randomly at this moment. But we've got Riggs, Jack, Ben, and then Shiv. Riggs first. Welcome.
GM. Yeah, man, it was a lot. Whole lot was said. My biggest complaint is not a single thing that is coming down the pipe from this company necessarily requires blockchain.
Interesting.
It's all Web 2, community, people type of shit, and there's nothing to it. And so I just think that he is really going to lean into, man, I hope this community can pump this thing and do all this cool shit, because otherwise we're in trouble. And I'm just not really, at some point, we got to look these team leaders in the face, or into whatever you want to look at when you're evaluating, and say, stop putting people on a pedestal before we know they can actually execute. And then my final piece, and I'm going to let everybody else go. At what point are people going to get help with announcements? This was horrifically bad how it was done. Just tweeting and tweeting and tweeting and tweeting and tweeting and tweeting and saying, more to come. Oh, now let's talk IP. More to come. Oh, tweet. Oh, we got more tomorrow, everybody. Don't worry, we've got more stuff. It's just not how you do announcements. It's not professional. It's not how people are able to digest information to retain it. So that's a problem.
Riggs, remember how we said at the start that we were going to start with the one thing that went well, and then the things that we wanted to criticize.
Miami Art Basel looks good.
Okay.
Because I'm going to Basel, that looks fun. So
Amazing.
I'm selfish on that one.
Well, I'm going to be in Miami as well, Riggs, so I'm looking forward to connect.
Heck yeah!
Either at the DGods event or elsewhere. But look, I take your broader critique, particularly with regards to communication, and interestingly, the point about community. I saw the video, and I kind of agree with the thesis. I understand your perspective on what was it? I understand your perspective on whether it needs the blockchain or not. I get that, but they had this little clip that they put out as well to do with a clip from Balaji and the guy Ryan from Bankless talking about what a network state looks like. And I think they're kind of leaning into that. And I kind of agree with that thesis of like building out this digital community, almost like a country online. I do understand that thesis. I think it's a cool thesis. I think lots of people are trying to do that. And I guess the argument was DGods has a lot of those elements already. Like they've got the token, they've got the community, they've got these people from all over the world interacting with each other all the time. So I can see that they have a lot of these components and they're trying to build that out. But I take your points that there's a lot to be done in terms of execution as well. We've just got Whale up on stage as well. Definitely want to get his thoughts on all of this too. But I think we said we were going to go to Shiv and then, oh no, we said Jack, then Shiv, that way around. Jack first.
GM boys.
Oh, Ben as well. Sorry, Ben. You just Jack, then Ben, then Shiv.
GM boys.
Sorry, Jack.
Oh my goodness. Be check. Yeah, look, I okay, let's do exactly what you said to do, which is the thing that I like. I'm just going to lean into the BTC DGod side because that is the PFP that you're looking at right now. They were never a community-run project. They were just a non-entity essentially, so we didn't really get any access to points polar. None of the utility that had been announced for DGods prior to what they're speaking about now. We just sort of siloed in our own Discord. Then they opened us up to the DGods Discord, but that was literally it. And considering we were like their biggest revenue generator, I'm glad to see that has now changed. And the quote is, all BTC DGods are DGods, but not all DGods are BTC DGods. And
Nice.
This leans into the initial idea that Frank sold us on, which is we were the most premium asset within the DGods collection. So it looks like that's being leaned into a little bit more. They are actually building a team out and they're looking for community members to actually go through the recruitment process and maybe hire some members from internal to DGods or in terms of from X as well. So that'll be interesting. So that's the change. It's not that they are going under DGods, it's that they are actually building their own specific team around BTC DGods that will be separate from the DGods team. That's the actual distinguishment factor from previous.
Got it.
What they could do better is, you just drop the roadmap first, I guess.
Yeah.
I think the video was dope. So that's like the first retweet I've done in a while. The video that you've just referenced is very, very good. They should have just leaned into that a little bit more. I disagree that not anything to do with DGods is part of the blockchain. Basically leaning into what you were saying, which is essentially NFTs leverage blockchain technology, and the gating of that community and DID all leverages blockchain technology, whether it needs to or not. I get Riggs's point on that front, but I do think community building in a way that is gated and a way where you can undeniably distinguish between somebody on the timeline who is posting who is a DGod, and you get that through DID because they will be the only people who are actually followed by the DGods account. That's the idea that that's nothing at all when I haven't seen too many other projects build like a huge ecosystem around the blockchain. I'm just not sure that's necessary. I think the blockchain's utilized through NFTs, through PFPs, and then the actual product can be whatever you like, as long as there's a connection to the blockchain through the PFP.
Yeah, I like it. I like that you stuck to the structure, gave us what you liked, gave us what could have been improved. And I take your points as well. I agree. I kind of like the thesis of that video. I just really I do buy into that network state idea. And I think that there's merit in that. And maybe designing their roadmap or designing their communication in like really leaning into that vision, I think could be helpful as well. So now we're going to go to Ben, Shiv, and then Whale. Ben first.
Yes, thank you, GM, everyone. Interesting takes, although, yes, I lean more with Jack. I love you, Riggs. But I'll say that in Web3, I'll make it short, I promise, which there is a huge confusion at times in regards to if things should be even be sustainable, right? What's the true value prop of things? I don't want to get into that part, but this is just to tell why I'm going to play the market in a way where I'm not middle curving it. So for me, importantly, the question is, for the future, do I see that the team still has what it takes in the bull run to cook? Because in the bull run, a lot of what y'all said will remain truth, but 100% invalid when the market starts making plays. And you'll be full of reason, but the market will move the money in a different direction. And short term, what I like is that actually they are tapping into a real problem. We call these communities, and we are digital, but our growth of rate and connection, it's still digital, but how we actually connect with each other is still limited as if we were in person. So we are not leveraging the right tools to actually do proper community building. We throw people in a Discord, but I don't know who's a dev, who's a trader, who's this, who's that. So is it truly a community? It's a group of people. You can go understand the true meaning of a digital community, and then we can discuss this again. But you could simply understand that there are no true communities well formed yet.
So Ben, is it the group chat aspect that you think is most important about this announcement?
It's not the group chat thing, but look at it as the thing of deploying a directory of people and building a bunch of relevant features that increases how people connect, how they communicate, get stuff done, and all of that. That in itself is new. But if you ask me, again, on my degen perspective, I wouldn't think this is the focus, although I get why this will be the focus of the convo. But in a bull, neither these nor the bad part that Rick spoke of will be relevant for why this can cook on a bull run. Let me not say will cook, NFA, Dior, all that.
Yeah. I mean, I take those points in some way. I guess in a bull run, anything can go up. I think that's kind of not in dispute.
Not really. It's not anything. Some people actually have the talent to cook stuff in the bull run. To be honest, you have many talented founders, but the truth is that on our first NFT bear market, we are in denial.
Yeah, Ben, I don't want to go too much into what can go up and what can't go up. We kind of want to keep it a little bit more focused on the specific announcement, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. My point being, to make it simple, is that I think the announcements got the community back where it needed, but
okay,
I feel like we should kind of look at it as the good that it's bringing to the community as repairing it,
awesome,
rather than looking too deep into what is or what is not business-wise, because that's all you have to figure overall for the space.
Fair enough. That's a fair take. So you think it's a positive overall announcement. Let's go to Shiv, and then we've got Whale coming up, and also we've got Next with their hand raise. Love to hear their thoughts in just a moment. One quick observation before I get round to these people is that, damn, you guys love talking about DeGods. It's going to get you emotional because like I'm just reading the room. Sometimes it's great to be able to run the show and just feel the vibe when it gets to certain collections and certain things. We've said this before about DeGods. Man, when we put DeGods as a headline, we just can't get people to stop talking about them. And that's the value prop to me, ultimately. Like, people just want to keep talking about them. And that's just my kind of key observation, aside from what the hell they're actually building. Shiv, let's get to you right now. Welcome to the stage. What are your thoughts?
GM. Yeah, I got a few points. So I'll go by the structure they kind of said there. I appreciate Jack's point as well. So I remember when I spoke to him at Zebu Live a couple of months ago, he was like, damn, dude, I wish they could do more with the BTCD gods. And they finally are. So massive W for that community over there, which was kind of going under the radar ever since they kind of minted for a while. So beautiful stuff there. So I wanted to say that I know everyone's saying this is a massive announcement. I really don't think so. If it was, it would be coming out of the DGods account, but it was coming through Frank's account. And it's not DGod Season 4, it's 3.33. It's a cleanup, the way that I like to phrase it, from what happened with Season 3. They noticed the mistakes that were made. They realized that the announcements they dropped previously weren't in line with the community incentives. So what this was, hey, I'm coming out with tweets that, hey, this is what we're doing. These are some minor updates that have accumulated that we're going to be rolling out, which involves art. People did not like points parlor, so we're getting rid of that. People realized there was no really direction with the BTC gods, so we're going to make sure we focus on that and the youths as well. So it was accumulation of small updates that seemed like a lot. Now, an improvement, I think typical Frank fashion, I think he just tweeted a lot at once, which was a lot of back to back to back. I know he gave the heads up, but I would appreciate it if it was kind of more streamlined. But ultimately, I do want to see more on the business side of things. I think the video that he made after was beautiful, obviously the community, but how many times have we seen that? You know, we understand that the community is a lot, but you can't just go around and say, hey, guess what? We realized that the community is our, gold part. I've seen that a ton of times by a ton of different projects. I think what people want to see is something different. What kind of direction are you guys going in? But I think it wasn't a major announcement, which is something I got to realize as well. It was a accumulation of small things. I also checked the price action as well, which didn't really rock it after that. But it goes to show us that, look, we needed stability. We got that. They're going down a direction that's better and more in line with the community. And that's what we like to see.
Yeah, definitely take your points on the communication. Also, yeah, the big win on the BTC side of things. And yeah, good to bring up the kind of consequent price action. It just feels like it's more of like a holding announcement. I see what you mean there. It's like, yes, there are certain things in the roadmap, but I think you're kind of fair, Shiv, there, where I know Ben was kind of suggesting that, don't dive into the business side. I think there's just a lot of appetite. It's kind of leaning into what Riggs was saying. There is a lot of appetite for people to try to get a sense of what direction they're going in, mainly because of the flip-flopping between different places. And I'm definitely not one to say that you can't do that and you can't pivot ever if you feel like you're going down the wrong road or you feel like you need to adjust. But I think obviously if you're doing that multiple times, it just gets people a little bit on edge and makes people start to wonder, like, right, I know you've had to pivot once. I know you might have to pivot twice. Like, how many times are these pivots going to go? Like, is there going to be a time when there aren't any more pivots? So I think people just want to be assured that they know what they're doing. And that's why I mentioned that video, or I think it was Riggs or Jack who mentioned the video. It's like, that was a cool video and I get that thesis. So they can just build on that. From my perspective, I like that idea. Whale, welcome to the stage. Love to hear your thoughts here. What do you think was good? What do you think could be improved on?
Yeah, GM everyone. Great show as always. I think already many great points were raised. Riggs, I agree with the stuff you said, that a lot of the stuff that DGods or youths doesn't necessarily need Web3. I would disagree on the part that community is not really like correlated to Web3. I think the way Web3 or at least profile pic projects work and the way community works, I think that is a benefit, and I think that's probably one of the stronger parts of DeGods in Utes. The bigger issue I see, though, is not really with the specific parts of the announcements. And I replied this jokingly to you, Legendary, earlier when you tweeted about like all the updates that Frank mentioned. And basically I said they called it clarify, but somehow I'm more confused than it was before. And the reason why I said that is I know in the startup it's important to pivot fast. Like when something doesn't work, you have to move on, get rid of it, find a new way. The problem in Web3 though, and I think DeGods and Utes is a good example for that. When you do it too often, and I'm sure we all can relate to this, it's getting too complex over time just because there's so many projects that want our attention. I think I have noticed on for like 50 projects on X, just that I don't miss like any important announcement. Discord is the same. So many new projects coming up every day. So I think when you pivot too often and have like too many updates in a short period of time, completely new directions, I think that's when a lot of people go like, okay, I'm out. It's too complex to follow this. And I think DeGods is kind of on the edge there. Even for me, like I consider myself really well informed with when it comes to what projects are working on. And I spend a lot of time in Web3. But even for me, it's like this morning when I scrolled through Frank's tweet, I was like, Jesus Christ, like 50 tweets, 50 different announcements. And I think for people who don't spend as much time in Web3 and just like look up announcements then and there, I think for them it's really complex to stay up to date. So that's the biggest problem, not necessarily the individual announcements, more like the way the team acted over the past few months.
Yeah, I think that's all completely fair, and I think just so much of the stuff that goes on in Web3 is we end up capitulating into this criticism, which is to do with communication and transparency, and just making sure that people are aware. And as you said, well, like you're online like all the time. You're just at it every day, completely staying on top of all of the news all of the time. So it's a little bit easier for you. But if even you are struggling to like stay on top of it all and connect all of the dots, just imagine the people that's like slightly more of a casual user, casual participant. Like it's just going to become so much harder. And in effect, you want to try to make it easier for these people. So I definitely see what you mean there with those points. Legendary, want to check back in with you for some of your reflections and also to see if you had any shout outs in the comments. I know I've made the suggestion that DeGods always gets people talking. I've had a lot of interesting opinions on the stage. Is there anything in the comments that you want to get to?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, DeGods gets people talking. We have shows where it's just the two of us speaking, but as soon as we touch on DeGods, I can't even get to the news piece without having one hand after the other raising. Comment section also quite active. Loved Von Frontin saying, Riggs already on stage. We are in for some spice. Curtis shared their point of view saying, I guess I'm surprised by the negative sentiment towards these announcements. Art announcement was meh. I see a lot of tools and opportunities to double down on the strength of community. Third comment I want to shout out is Opener saying that I suspect Detox is the way into SocialFi. Dust will be involved.
Interesting. I just seen also Curtis asked Riggs, what did Frank do to your family? I feel like you're missing the forest from the trees. Look, I'm just reading the room. I know you guys are talking about DeGods. I'm not really here to talk about DeGods. I'm just reading the room. And all I can tell is that DeGods makes people feel something. That's my main takeaway. I appreciate there's all kinds of takes, positive and negative. Legendary.
And B-check, I'm sorry. I do. You go and read the one tweet about what did Frank do to my family. But we got a lot of people in here. I actually really like Frank. Frank's a great dude. I've met with him and talked with him a bunch. But we got to keep it 100 here. And again, people wanted to have me bring the heat.
No, I know, man. And we appreciate it as well. And I think it's important that you do bring it. And it's important that everyone actually says the things they're actually feeling, because it means that we get that discourse out in the open and people can evaluate their own thoughts against other people's thoughts. That's what we really want. We don't want people to not be saying stuff. And the thing is, what you've also got to appreciate, whether it's Riggs or anyone else, I mean, we're all saying things, trying to say it as we see it at this moment in time. It doesn't mean that at a future time, or that in a past time, that everything is exclusively one way, right? We're trying to provide a nuanced perspective. If you say one thing, it doesn't mean that everything is exclusively negative. So interesting thoughts there, Legendary. Any final thoughts before we actually have no other hands raised?
Yeah, not a final thought, but we had Next's hand raised. He dropped off from stage. Now he's back. So I wanted to check in with you next to see what your thoughts are on the announcement. What do you like? What didn't you like about it?
Sounds good.
Thank you for having me up. GM, I got drugged by X. I couldn't hear Vale or anyone, so I wanted to reconnect, but GM. I like all the tasks that everyone provided. I don't know how I feel, to be honest. I think I feel like Whale. It's pretty confusing, and someone who's been in NYC at the event and everything else, he's been, amazing. I like Frank a lot, but I just, to the point now in nearly 2024, we are soon entering the new year. It's kind of, I don't know how to word this, but just not putting it in one whole paragraph or sentence, just making like 10 announcements, Frank style. It's just like, it's kind of getting to a point, it's weird, and, kind of showing weakness in in Discord and announcements. It shouldn't really be a leader's thing. And I'm not coming to attack Frank. It's just like from a Zuki standpoint, Zegabon did the same. And that's just kind of, you don't want to show that to community, because then it just fuels the fire to the community to make something more out of it, So I think that shouldn't be really a thing, which kind of sounds wrong. But, if you're a leader, you kind of shouldn't do that. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about the announcement. I like the merch. I like everything. I have the merch myself. It's nice, but kind of the revamp again. It's nice to have a nice PFP. I have it myself. It's one thing that holds Azuki till now because it's quiet. But I don't know. I just don't think that clears the road for me. About DGOTS. That's just how I feel, to be honest.
Yep, I think that's completely fair, and it's nice to hear from a holder and someone who is generally supportive of the team be able to just have that kind of honest feedback, saying like it's not clear enough. And I guess Frank probably already knows that. Might have mentioned that there will be a more specific roadmap coming very soon. Legendary, what I'm going to do now, I see two more hands raised. I'm going to do the Web3 roundup and the creator corner to bring people up to speed with what else has been happening in the space in the last 24 hours. And then I want to make a call whether we're going to carry on doing this. I don't want to really talk about decodes anymore, to be honest, but people seem to really want to. There's a bunch of other stuff that's really important. So let's think about that in the next few minutes, kind of passing that decision-making over to you as we talk. But let's get into the Web3 roundup. As always, it's in the snapshot, which is pinned up top. We have Nansen announcing public beta launching tomorrow. This may be today, actually, today or tomorrow. And also, interestingly, this is for people to note, CEO kind of teased a 2024 airdrop, not literally the way because people can't say it literally. He said, beware, something like there will be no Nansen airdrop in 2023, which obviously made everyone think, well, does that mean there's going to be one in 2024? So something for you to be aware of. Next, Gordon Goner goes on another NFT spree. We had all kinds of buys like Rafik Anadol, Winds of Yawanawa, Sugartown by Zynga, Trademark by Jack Butcher, Obsessions by Fiwo. Shout out to Tyler, who's always providing great summaries of what's going on in the NFT space. Got that from him. Neo Tokyo announces the first of many investments through Launchpad for Web3 gaming opportunities. Definitely noticing this Launchpad thing becoming quite prominent. Next, Zeneca joins Seedify Fund as an advisor. Again, another type of Launchpad. Getting into the creator corner, we have Cosmo de Medici announcing a Grant Yun solo exhibition in LA with Proof on December the 12th to 14th. That sounds pretty fun. Next, Timpers ended up selling 1,395 editions of Bathroom Blues, raising 23.6 ETH. That's pretty great for Timpers. Really cool piece of art he did yesterday. And Noble Gallery announced a blockbuster list of artists for season 2 finale. Check out the list. I'm not going to read all of them. It's in the snapshot. It's pinned up top. Really, really top tier artists for season 2 finale of the Noble Gallery. That is the Web3 roundup and the news from the Creator Corner Legendary. What do you want to do now? We have a couple of other headlines. We could go back to DGods. What's your evaluation?
Let's try to break the pattern and not speak for an entire show about DGods when we have DGods in the title. Let's do something else. I see you celebrating on video. Love it. Let's talk about Utes. No, I'm joking. Let's get into Magic Eden. Actually, from the headlines, that's the one I would like to cover. I think the Jito, the staking airdrop, is interesting. As you said, NFT floor prices are pumping, might be connected to that. But I think what Magic Eden is doing is really, really interesting. We spoke about Magic Eden the last time when they announced collaborating with Yuga Labs on bringing out their own marketplace for Yuga assets to be traded. And today's announcement is the cross-chain wallet. So you have a wallet marketplace combo. You also have the option on Magic Eden to then buy with credit card by using MoonPay. Obviously, Magic Eden is way more than the Solana marketplace, supporting Ordinals, ETH, Polygon collections as well. So they're definitely expanding and extending both horizontally and vertically as more than a marketplace now. And I find it quite interesting how they are trying to position themselves. We spoke about LuxRare yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? I don't remember. And the Infiltrators, how they are going more into that GambleFi direction. We spoke about Blur and how Blur is now going way beyond marketplaces and building their own L2 and actually competing with liquid staking derivatives. And I have Magic Eden trying to basically access and tap into the whole value creation chain, from onboarding users, from having a wallet, from having a fiat payment option. So it is really fascinating to see how those marketplaces manage to shape a different positioning for themselves in the Web3 ecosystem.
Absolutely. I like those thoughts. This is a really important one for me. And I think it's important for a few reasons. One is that there are all kinds of people in various ecosystems, and they're all kind of siloed. Like, you've got Solana people, and they very much see themselves as Solana people. And yes, there's a little bit of crossover, and people like ourselves who are maybe predominantly on ETH have kind of crossed over in some ways, but you've always needed like a bunch of different things going on in order to participate across the board. I've still been looking for, because I didn't get onboarded into Bitcoin, I don't have like a decentralized Bitcoin wallet. My Bitcoin's on a centralized exchange, whereas all the other stuff I've managed to get off. So one of the things I think is cool about this is that it's the first time, I believe, that you'll be able to seamlessly swap between chains. So between Bitcoin, Solana, ETH, and Matic. And look, maybe there's another wallet that does that. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm not going to say it is literally the first time. It's the first one I'm aware of as a fairly sophisticated crypto participant that you can do that. So I think that is very cool. And then the second point I wanted to make is that it's very relevant that this is coming like after the Yuga Labs marketplace. So they're going to get a huge amount of attention with whatever they've got cooking there. And then to be launching this at the similar time, I think is very relevant. And then the third thing, which is the thing which is probably going to excite people the most, is something which they've said in this announcement. And I believe this is from, who is this person? This person is Vo on Twitter. Vovo, Solana ecosystem manager at Magic Eden. They say that there will be in-wallet experiences to be announced. Can't say too much yet. Also rewards. And the thing which I'm thinking there, kind of in line with what I was talking to you about Legendary the other day with Rainbow Wallet, who I believe, are building a points system for your wallet. People have spoken for ages and ages, like, when is MetaMask going to do an airdrop? When are they going to do an airdrop? Like, you know, there's no clarity on that. I think Rainbow have been a little bit more open about the idea of tracking wallet behavior and activity, and maybe tying that to do with points. And I think, look, we're in this season now where everything is points based, everything is attempting to decentralize and drop coins. We're moving into a market where that becomes more appealing. And I just wondered whether, when it says in wallet experiences and rewards, whether that will be something that Magic Eden want to explore in conjunction with Yuga Labs. What are your thoughts?
I definitely think this is the case, and I also think if you see how many chains both Magic Eden as a marketplace, but also as the wallet will support, and then you have Yuga still thinking where they will want to do some of their future game activations. Will it be their own chain? Will it be a Polygon CDK? Whatever it will be, you can be certain that in this case and in this partnership that Magic Eden, both marketplace and the wallet, will support it, and that opens up quite a lot of room for those in-wallet experiences. But I also noticed while you said that with, you know, hints to a potential airdrop, that I think now is really the time to rethink your on-chain behavior, in the sense of like really questioning all the dApps, marketplaces, wallets that are using, and are asking yourself the question: are the dApps that you're using potentially ones who could have an airdrop? And if not, just changing for others. Like, don't use Uniswap, go for a decentralized exchange that hasn't done an airdrop yet. And I quite realized this on the weekend when I did buy into some NFTs on Polygon, and I used a tokenless wallet that has that doesn't have a token yet. So one, I bridged the funds with Orbiter. Two, a bridge that doesn't have a token yet but now has loyalty points. Had the funds then on Polygon, used DoGG, marketplace aggregator on Polygon that also has an airdrop coming, to buy an NFT. So you have like a 4 or 5 in one. You farm potentially 4 to 5 airdrops by just doing a single transaction if you think about which tools you're using, instead of just going with your default MetaMask, OpenSea, and Uniswap basically solution and approach. And I just think it is worth to restructure that and change the tools to seize some of the opportunities that are going on and some of the airdrops that are going on in the space.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to link to our final headline about Solana NFTs being up, because that kind of links to one of the airdrops that's just been announced as well. And we're just going to close the show on that because we're running out of time. But we see here Tokes' tweet. Tokes writes the Page One newsletter, really awesome publication. I don't know if they're writing it every single week anymore, but when they do write it, it's really great. Saying that I'm simply observing the 1 hour price moves of the coins on my Solana watch list, and extrapolating that their eventual moves higher when the Jupiter and Jito airdrops are claimable. The Jito airdrop was announced yesterday. That's a governance token for, how would you describe it? It's the fastest growing liquid staking protocol on Solana. There's just all of these protocols that are getting ready to drop stuff. And if you are participating, you want to try to be there for it. And then I guess the connection that Tokes is making, and it's one that I've been thinking about, one that you may want to think about, is what is the connection between all of this extra liquidity in the Solana ecosystem and NFTs? Like, do you think they go into NFTs? Do you think people just take the money and run? Like, what's your thinking there? That's one thing I would be having on my mind at the moment as we start to see all this extra liquidity come into the Solana and other ecosystems. Legendary, a final thought on that as we close out the show. Final reflection on the Solana NFTs being up and that airdrop.
A final reflection on that, I do think, as you just said, that those things are correlated. Final thought. We have another day with 190 people live in the audience. Absolutely.
Yes.
Love to see the growth. Love to see everyone supporting us. So big thanks for listening in, tuning in the modern market. And also, I think that's a good sign if you see the interest coming back into the market and you see not only our spaces numbers, but as well as other spaces hosts, whether it's Whale, Shiv, and so many more. Carlos also with us on the stage, who have their numbers going up as well. So that's definitely interest that we haven't seen in a long time in this market.
Send it higher. Send it higher, guys. Send it higher for us. Send it higher for the other hosts. Send it higher for everyone. Have a wonderful day. Take care. We will see you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.